Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. How y'all doing today? Welcome back to Mr. Morrow's Algebra 1 and 2 class. As you can see, we're going to continue on some basics today. It's an easy lesson, but extremely important. These skills are used a lot in algebra and in every math, actually, in everyday life. So it's really, really important to understand them. Today we're going to be talking about fraction, decimal, percent conversions. How to go from fraction to decimal, decimal percent, and any other way, percent to decimal or percent to fraction or decimal to fraction. Any of these conversions we're going to deal with today. First of all, let's go ahead and start with the easiest one, I think, in my opinion, converting decimals to fractions. When you're converting decimals to fractions, simply read the decimal correctly and write out as a fraction. Then reduce the fraction to lowest terms if needed. For example, convert each decimal value into a fraction, reduced to lowest terms. We already learned how to reduce in last section, part 1 of this, so it should be pretty easy. The way you read this, if you remember the decimal place values I gave you, the chart, this is 375 thousandths. You got tenths, hundredths, thousandths. So 375 thousandths. So I've got 375 thousandths. Literally. That is exactly how you do it. It's nice and easy. And then you start reducing. Okay? Well, I know for sure that 25 goes into 375. I'm pretty darn sure that it goes in 25. Yes, and it does 15 times. So if I divide 25 to both top and bottom here, remember we're reducing this fraction by using equivalent fractions. We're using equivalent fraction of 25 over 25 to find the reduced value. So this is going to be 15 40ths. And then let's see, nothing goes into 15 and 40, so that's it. That is reduced. 0.5, that's 5 tenths. I know you all know it's a half, but why? It's 5 tenths. Then you reduce it, divide 5 to both numerator and denominator, and you got 1/2. 0.62 is read as 62 hundredths. Let's go ahead and divide both of these by, let's see what I can do here. Let's do it by 2 first. So that's going to be 31 50ths, and I cannot go any further. That is reduced to lowest terms. 2.9, the way you read that is 2 and 9 tenths. We can't reduce that anymore, so you're done. So read the decimal and write it out in words. Write those words out as a fraction. Converting fractions to decimals. This one's very simple as well. Convert each fraction into a decimal. Okay, how? Sorry about that. How? Simply divide. Literally. I mean literally. 3/4. Well, I'm going to turn that into a decimal. Sometimes decimals will be terminating, sometimes it will be repeating. In this case, it will be terminating. 4 goes on the outside. 4 is the denominator. We went over that yesterday. And the denominator is the divisor. It goes outside. And inside of the house is the numerator, or the dividend. 4 cannot go into 3, so I place a 0 there. Bring up my decimal. 4 goes into 37 times. That's 28. 30 minus 28 is 2. Drop down that 0. 4 goes into 20 5 times. And boom. You got your answer. 0.75. So 3/4 equals 0.75. You're like, yes, I know. A lot of you know that. But now, if you didn't know how you got that, now you do. 4/9. 4/9 is going to be a repeating decimal. 9 on the outside, 4.0 on the inside. 9 goes into 40 times. So now 9 goes into 40. That's going to be 4 times, which is 36. and you're just going to continue getting a repeating value here. So 4/9 equals 0.4 repeating. 2/5. It's an easy one. That's 0.4. Why? Well, you got a 5 on the outside, 2.0 on the inside. 5 goes into 2 0 times. So I've got 20. 5 goes into 20. Bring up that decimal. Never forget to bring up that decimal. Very important. 5 goes into 20 4 times. So 2/5 equals 0.4. And 15/25. Okay, this is nice and easy as well. First thing I would do, whenever I have a fraction like this, I always try to see if I can reduce it. Because if I can reduce it, it's going to make my life a lot easier. And in this case, I can. Because I can divide both the numerator and the denominator by 5, giving me 3/5. And 3/5 is going to be 0.6. Why? Because 5 on the outside, 3 on the inside. 5 goes into 3 0 times. So I've got 30. Bring up the decimal. And 5 goes into 30 6 times. So 15/25 equals 0.6. So fraction of decimal, very easy. Simply divide. Converting percents to decimals. Percents to decimals. Okay. Multiply the decimal by 100 and you will get a percent. But a lot of times people don't want to multiply and stuff. They want an easier way. So think about this. Move the decimal 2 places to the left. Why to the left? How can I remember that? Well, if I'm going from percent to decimal, L for left. So if I'm going percent to decimal, L, that L represents go to the left. So 42%, I'm going to go 1, 2 to the left, and that's going to equal 0.42. 425%, I'm going to go 1, 2 to the left, and that's going to equal 4.25. So percent to decimal, 2 places to the left. 2.5%, well, when I got 2.5% here, I'm going to go 1, 2 to the left. I'm going to place my decimal and fill that basket in with a 0. So that's going to equal 0.025. 56.8%, I'm going to go 1, 2 to the left. And that's going to become 0.568. So percent to decimal, 2 places to the left. The opposite, converting decimal to percent. In this case, you're going to divide the percent by 100. I'm sorry, not the percent. You're going to divide the decimal, sorry, my mistake, by 100. Or you could simply move the decimal places 2 places to the right. How do you know you go to the right this time? Well, this time you're going decimal to percent. R. That R represents right. So percent to decimal, left. Decimal to percent, R, you go to the right. Let's figure this out. It's pretty simple. 0.36, I want to turn that into a percent. So I'm going to go 2 places to the right. So that's going to equal 36%. Let's check on number 2, 7.25. I'm going to go 2 places to the right, so that's 725%. 0.008. I'm going to go 2 places to the right, 1, 2. So that's going to be 0.8%. Just because you have a decimal does not mean you can have a decimal and a percent. You can have both. 28.82. We're going to turn that into a percent. So I go 1, 2 to the right, and that's going to be 2,882%. Should be pretty simple. Let's continue. Let's put it all together. Some examples. Let's convert 5/8 into both decimal value and a percent. All right, 5/8. I'm going fraction to decimal, so I'm going to divide. 8 goes into 5. Bring up the decimal. 8 goes into 5 6 times, which is 48. I got a 2. Bring that 2 down. 8 goes into 20 2 times, which is 16. That's a 4. Bring down that 0. And 8 goes into 45 times. So that's going to equal 0.625. That's the decimal part. Now I want to make it a percent. So I've got 0.625. I'm going decimal to per cent. So I'm going to go 1 2 to the right, which will be 62.5%. Nice and easy. Convert 0.45 into both a fraction and a percent. Well, 0.45, let's first do it easy. It's nice and easy this way. Let's go decimal to percent. R, 2 places to the right. So I'm going to go 1 2 to the right, which is 45%. Now I want to turn it into a fraction. Well, 0.45 is 45 hundredths. That's the way you read that correctly. Divide both the numerator and the denominator by 5, and you will get 9/20ths as your answer in fraction form. Let's convert 52% into both a decimal value and a fraction. Well, percent to decimal, L. So I got 52%. I want to make it a decimal, so I go to the left. So I go 1 to the left. So decimal value is going to be 0.52. As far as a fraction, 0.52, that's 52 hundredths. Divide both by 2, and you get 26 50ths. You can go ahead and divide 26 50ths by 2 over 2 as well, and that will be 13 25ths. And there you go. Now, I'm going to give you guys some decimal facts to memorize. I'm sorry, it's in the next page. Sorry, it's clearer in the next page. Sorry about that. Okay, decimal facts to memorize. All right, with your iPad, you can go ahead if you're watching, if you printed out the PDF notes, scan this barcode, and it's going to take you to the following site. I'm going to go there in a second. If you're watching this on a different medium than the iPad, scan the screen, okay? Or you could just go ahead and type in the URL. Okay, so here we go. This is taking us to math.com, and it's telling you some nice, easy, basic facts for fraction to decimal conversions. It gave you a table. Most of these I memorized, and it's not because I'm special, but it's because I know that it's really important to memorize these. Okay? So I'm not going to go through all of these right now with you. That's why I gave you the table. However, I will tell you this. You should memorize these right here. These are really important to memorize. Okay? You should memorize all of probably, yeah, you should memorize up to here, actually. If you can memorize everything from here up, okay, from here up, I don't know why this is not continuing to mark up for me, but I would say from 11/12 all the way up I would memorize. And then, when you get fancier, let me erase this here. When you get fancier and things get a little bit more difficult, and you need to convert repeating decimals to a fraction, you have all the skills here. Basically, for the repeating, you're always going to subtract the denominator by 1. So, for example, if I have 0.3 repeating, and I don't know why this is not writing, I'm sorry. If I have 0.3 repeating, normally that would be 3/10. But since it's a repeating decimal, subtract 1 from the denominator, and then that becomes 3/9, which is 1/3. So when you have a repeating decimal, subtract 1 from the denominator. Okay? And just read the rest of those patterns. You're not going to see those very often, but it's good to know it. I hope you had a great lesson. Thank you very much, and I'll talk to you tomorrow. Have a great day. Bye-bye.